Hi everyone, welcome to day 6 of my 12 Days of Christmas project tutorial series. Today I'm going to show you how to create your own homemade Christmas crackers. So I'm using the gorgeous Ski Slope Designer Series papers, and I've got a cracker here which I just bought a packet of crackers from a craft store. They're fairly easy to get hold of at this time of year. And so let's get started. Firstly, I've cut down my designer series paper and I just printed the template directly onto the paper. Makes it a lot easier to cut out. And so I've just got my craft scissors, my paper snips, and so I'm just going to cut along all of the solid lines on the template. Firstly, I'm just cutting the outside of the template. Okay, so I've cut around the outside of my template, and now I'm going to fold along. On the template you'll notice that there's some diamonds between two fold lines. So I'm going to fold along the centre of the diamonds. You can pre-score that if you want to, but I'm going to just wing it and fold along that line. And you do that for both ends along the centre of the diamonds. Then you want to cut the diamonds out and be really careful to stick to the cut lines with this, because the trick of the cracker working is that you've got your points thin enough that they'll pull apart, but you don't want it to fall apart before you're ready to use the cracker. So you really want to stick to the template lines while you're cutting out your diamonds. And so you'll just cut all your diamonds out before moving on to the next step. Okay, so I've finished cutting out my diamonds, and so I'll just carefully unfold that. One thing I forgot to mention earlier was when you print out your template, it's best to print it out on the back of the patterned paper, so don't print it on the side that you want to show on the outside of your cracker, because you might be able to see the print lines once your cracker is complete. So just print it on the opposite side to the pattern that you want to use. Okay, so once you've cut out your diamonds, we're then going to fold along the dotted lines on the template, and once again you can pre-score those for easier folding, which I might just stop and do before I fold this up. Won't be a minute. So as I was saying, we're just going to now fold along those lines that we've scored. So you want to be really careful when you're folding the lines along the diamonds, because as I mentioned before, the diamonds are quite fragile now. So just go really slowly and holding the diamonds down as you fold, and you kind of pre-fold your score line while you're holding the diamonds down before you then go ahead and completely fold it. Okay, now that I have folded all of my score lines, I'm now going to go ahead and roll my cracker. So you want to add some sticky strip to the little tabs that you have on one end of the cracker, and you want to stick the sticky strip to the right side of the designer series paper, the side that's facing out, the same pattern that you've got on the outside, because those tabs will be then stuck to the inside of the cracker. So we'll go ahead and add some sticky strip. Okay, so I've added my sticky strip. Now I'm going to peel off that backing, and I'm going to start by sticking the centre of the cracker together. And so you just want to bring this outside edge that doesn't have the tabs around and align it with the fold of the tab on the other side. So as you're sticking, you want to match up the score lines that are at the edge of the diamonds, and then just stick that tab down. You want to work really slowly with this because you've got sticky strip adhesive. You don't want to stick it anywhere that you don't want it to stay. So just working nice and slowly, and then once you've stuck that down, just kind of squeeze the cracker together to just get that circle formed nicely. And then you're going to adhere the two end tabs. Okay, and then you can poke your cracker through your snap. Poke that through, and you want to just stick your snap inside. Just give it a little bit of adhesive inside the ends of your cracker, just to keep it secure in there. Find it easier to adhere the snap after you've already formed the cracker, because it can be a little tricky to get those ends, those tabs stuck down with the snapper in there. Now when you're sticking your snap, you don't want to stick it right to the end of the cracker because the snap is not as long as the cracker is. So just center the snap right in the middle and just stick that down. And then take some ribbon and tie a knot around where you cut out the diamonds. You don't want to pull that too tight because you will tear your diamonds, so just sort of pull until it stops. And trim that. And then I find it's nice to create a little embellishment to go on the center section of your cracker. So I'm just going to stamp a sentiment in Baja Breeze ink, which will match my patterned paper, on Whisper White cardstock. And then I'm going to take my circle punch and just punch that out. And then I've got some Riding Hood red cardstock which matches my ribbon, and I'm going to punch that with my scallop circle. Then I'll stick my sentiment onto my scallop circle just with some snail adhesive, and then I will add that to my cracker with some glue dots. You could use Stampin' Dimensionals, but I don't want it raised up too much on my cracker, so I'm just going to use some flat glue dots. And there it is, my Christmas cracker. Of course you could add some toys or treats inside the cracker, but have fun with it and make it your own. Thanks for joining me on day 6 of my 12 Days of Christmas project tutorial series, and I'll see you again tomorrow for day 7. Bye for now.